Two guys, one review, one review.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Two Guys, One Review. Today we're going to be talking about Halloween Ends. So, this is part of our spooky season series. We're going to be talking about a bunch of recent horror films that came out. And Halloween Ends came out on October 14th. It was released everywhere, streaming on Peacock as well. So, let's get right into it. Devin, what are your early thoughts on Halloween Ends?
I just don't think the movie made sense at all. I don't know. I mean, I was looking forward to it slightly because the one before it kind of chips too. I mean, they were chasing that one guy through the hospital, and they're like, "It's Michael."
The one before it sucked.
First of all, Michael's like 6'7". The guy they were chasing was like the Penguin from the Batman Beyond or Batman Returns or whatever the fuck that Batman was.
False advertising.
Yeah, like no, that was I don't know. That was something straight out of a Tim Burton fucking movie. But Halloween Ends, I just think it fell really short. I mean, there's so many ways Halloween Ends could have been, spectacular movie. You know what I mean?
They could have done a lot.
But how many years after it was it?
4, I think.
4 years after it.
Yeah. It was supposed to be, or what a lot of people thought it was going to be was like a continuation of the same night.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was gonna be. Like it continues with him killing the daughter, and then they hear her scream. They run into the house. He's there, and then he goes on another rampage, and it's just a rampage all night.
4 years after.
4 years after, he's like in the sewers, tethered to like the brick walls, and he's just dragging people in there, I guess.
Yeah. It was, so I did some research on the movie, and the director, so the movie was obviously delayed because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
The director incorporated that into the movie, so that partially explains the 4-year gap, as the pandemic happened in that timeline.
So what the fuck was Michael Myers doing during the pandemic? Hiding in a sewer?
In the sewers, and they didn't really go into detail about it.
I don't even hear anyone bring up the pandemic in the movie.
Yeah, it was like, they wrote supposedly, there's a book, Halloween Ends.
I'm not buying that fucking.
Never mind, but it goes way more into detail about it, and that was how they explained this 4-year hiatus.
After Michael disappeared, something even more horrific happened. A virus outbreak of COVID-19.
Basically. But a lot of critic reviews are, and this is fan reviews too, is like they had a lot of opportunity to do more with it, and they chose not to, and they just missed like a lot of chances to maybe like revive the series.
They missed a lot.
Yeah. What did you think about the direction they went in, where they essentially Michael Myers was basically like the sidekick?
If there was a plot twist, right? If there was a plot twist where he looks at Laurie's granddaughter and he goes, "Oh, I've been evil this whole time." Dun-dun-dun. I actually threw the kid off the railing because fuck that little kid. He was a piece of shit.
Then it would make more.
Then it would make sense. But he was just having a panic attack and kicked the door open, and the kid flew back like 15 feet and landed in front of his parents. That made no sense. So first of all, the analogy I used, if you run a deer over at night and you don't see it, does that make you evil? We all know that doesn't, right? So that accidental death shouldn't have made him evil. It should have invoked some sort of, depression in him, where he actually, in return, kind of somewhat helps Laurie's, granddaughter redeem herself by sacrificing himself, by killing Michael Myers. Doesn't that make a little more sense?
Yeah, I think that
a redemption arc would have been nice.
The direction they went with it was, because the movie was basically about, and they took it in such a weird direction because it was supposed to be a horror movie.
Dude, what about that cringe party scene at the bar? That was so cringe.
Yeah.
The dude's fucking laying on the ground.
Yeah,
who does that?
I thought he was dying. I literally thought he was having like a seizure or something.
He had like 2 shots of whiskey and he was like tripping as if he was on Molly or
I thought
something.
there was gonna be like another.
Plus, why would she fall for him?
Direction with that.
Just so random.
The whole thing happened really. They rushed it too. Like, what are the odds your fucking grandmother like brings some like random dude to you, and like the next day you're just like, oh, I love him, like, you know what I mean?
What did she say? So if you're the freak and I'm the what? What was it?
Psycho.
If I'm the freak and you're the psycho, then who's the psycho and who's the freak?
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
Like that. Yeah. But the movie was about basically dealing with trauma. Was like the message of the movie, and how one way to deal with it is appropriate and one way is not. And
also,
that's really kind of.
Also, those fucking band geeks. Why did they make the band geeks the villain? Why do the geeks have to be the bullies? That made no sense.
I didn't understand until like the end. I thought they were like fucking like athletes. I didn't realize they were the band.
They were
kids.
band
That
geeks.
made so much more sense to me. I was like, wait, these kids are the fucking.
They were
band-
dorks.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait, like why are they selling these kids as like the high school athletes? Like, because wouldn't it make more sense in like every movie ever? It's like the high school like football players are like the bad guys. That's what I just assumed.
Oh
I
my
like missed
God.
that part of the movie. I thought they said like when they're buying alcohol. I thought they were like, oh, we're seniors, like we're like on the football team or something. Or maybe I just like misheard it or assumed that, because that's what it is in every other plot story. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
Yeah, they made them the band.
Well, in the
like,
4 years during COVID, they forgot Michael, so they created another monster in the mind. A nerd.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I don't. Yeah, it was. That part I'll give you was laughable. The movie too. I'll give it to you. It definitely had surprises, which I liked because no one was gonna expect that.
You know what would be an even better surprise? If while the kid's locked in the attic, Mike Myers, after killing Laurie Strode's daughter, comes into that house and kills the kid, and he gets blamed for it.
That's what I thought.
And then he redeems himself.
That's what I thought was gonna happen, but the dates didn't match up, right? Wasn't it? It was like a year after that happened.
Can you Google the director to this? Who's the director of this?
It was David Gordon Green. And he
David
did the whole
Gordon.
trilogy.
Jesus.
He co-wrote it too. It had a bunch of writers, but he assisted in that as well.
Oh my God.
They 100% have said this is the last one that they're gonna do. If they do another one, it's gonna be a different.
Thank
it's gonna be
God.
a different universe, different series, type thing.
Even the death scenes in it weren't as like, I don't know what their objective was, but where was the scream queens and where was like, there wasn't really a struggle. You know what I mean? Mike Myers usually will follow his victim around and make them struggle a little, and they're panting and they're holding their wound and they're rubbing their blood on the wall and they're in the closet. I mean, Laurie did that, but
right, but it was brief.
it was so rushed. It was like an hour and a half of this weird ass fucking romance that made no sense. Like you would think both of them would be like Bonnie and Clyde and go killing people. And then maybe Mike Myers or kill Mike. I don't know. It just made no sense.
It had that dark feeling to it, but obviously it was just the kid. It wasn't actually the girl. There was part of the movie where I thought Michael Myers didn't even exist. I thought, wait, has the kid just been like schizophrenic the whole time? It was the part when he's talking. He wakes up in the house where he killed the kid.
Oh, yeah, and Laurie's right there
in the chair, and then she disappears. And I was like, wait, is this kid just like schizophrenic? Is this gonna be like just like that?
You didn't hear?
In the series?
You didn't hear?
What?
Laurie Strode is Batman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, the director said that he wanted the movie, they deliberately did this while they were writing it. He wanted it to be different from the other movies. He wanted to have a different message. He wanted the series to end on a more positive note. He didn't want it to be like every other horror movie ever. So that's why they depicted it deliberately as a love story.
All right, well,
Which
let's stop talking for 5 seconds and like 3 seconds so you could add some cheap ass applauses. Ready? 3, 2. All right, let's get back into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it fell short. I'm a horror fanatic. I mean, just look around my living room. There's horror movie shit all over the place. There's a Mike Myers, mask right there. Me and Ashley watched it, and Ashley's, terrified by horror movies. And even that one, she was yawning, and she's like, "What the fuck are we watching now?" Again, that bar scene, or when he just freaks out on her, "Get away from me!" Incel energy. Then the geeks throw him over the bridge. That was the perfect scene for him to just lose control. That would have been the perfect scene for him to kill the geeks, throw one of them over the bridge. The kid crawls into the tunnel screaming, "Please don't!" And Mike Myers grabs that kid by the head, picks him up, and just crushes him. And he goes, "Shit, Mike Myers has been here this whole time."
Right.
You know what I mean? That would have been sick, but it just made no sense, dude. It literally, Mike Myers was just a background character hiding in a sewer for 4 fucking years. And if it was 4 years, then why was he so like, I don't know, like it just doesn't make any sense.
Right. They didn't touch on that enough. They didn't. It just felt too rushed. That they didn't really explain why he was like the sidekick in the final movie, which bothered me. I didn't just have a problem with that as much. I have a problem that they didn't explain it as much. Like they really. Was it because he was old? Because he didn't kill enough people to get the energy he needed or whatnot? Yeah. So 13th film in the Halloween series. They said it's the final one for this trilogy. Yeah, 40% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
40%?
40%, which I'm not surprised by either.
Is that Rotten Tomatoes or audience score?
So the audience, that's Rotten Tomatoes. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is 57. So people
Jeez.
liked it a little more, but it's 57.
I mean,
That's pretty low. It's like a
57, that's
D.
light
It's like
for a horror movie,
6 out
you
of
know,
10
like
almost.
this. I mean, Mike Myers is an icon at this point.
Yeah.
And this
yeah.
gets into what we were saying, the remakes or the sequels or whatever. If you're going to do something like this, hire somebody that actually has, like, insane knowledge about the lore.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, other than this trilogy, I don't believe this director had anything to do with writing the other, like, dozen movies or whatever it was.
I feel like this is how I feel, right? So when I studied in Brazil, we had a philosophy teacher that said the more you write, the higher your grade will be because I just don't want to read it.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, so I just wrote a bunch of nonsense for like
Yeah.
6 pages, and then he would just give me an A. I feel like that's
that didn't
what,
teach you
these co-writers do.
Writing, yeah.
They go, hey, read this script. It's 300 pages. Oh, yeah, do it. Look, it came out good. I skimmed through a couple pages. And then it comes out, and everyone's just confused and, in a daze. Like, that kid.
It's
I
not
don't-
like good quality. They
Yeah,
get a
I don't
lot
know
more
why
of
they
it.
added him into the movie. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, critics were not.
No sense. I thought they were
impressed
gonna.
by that.
And then his mom kissing him,
Yeah, that
Like,
was,
what?
That was bizarre.
like some incest shit going on
they
too.
were supposed to do, touching on that same thing that you just brought up, they were supposed to do, it was supposed to be 2 movies, but they had so much content and plot arcs and stuff like that they had to make it 3.
What was it supposed to be? 50 Shades of Grey Hair?
I don't fucking know. Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 movies originally, and then they realized that they couldn't ever fit it into 2 films, so they made it 3.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. This one fell short. Let's get into ratings. What's your rating on this one?
Out of 5, I'll give it a 3.5. I am not a diehard Halloween fan. I think they're fine movies. I'm not one of these diehard fans though. I think the movie itself was fine. I think the fact that it was part of the Halloween series is why a lot of people didn't like it as much. Like if you made the movie, let's say you made the same movie, but it wasn't about Michael Myers. It was just some random serial killer. The movie's probably fine. The fact that it was Michael Myers and it was part of the Halloween series, and it was the final one too, and it left so many questions at the end, I think is why it was poorly regarded. But I think the movie was fine. I don't think it was amazing, but I think it was fine. So I'll give it a 3.5 out of 10. Or 3.5 out of 5. What do you think out of 5?
I think it's something you could definitely sit through, eat popcorn, and maybe have a tall glass of whiskey on the rocks too. If you avoid every plot hole in the movie or every confusing scene, then it should be somewhat amusing to you. I give it 3. If I'm drunk, I'll give it like a 4. And if I'm sleeping through it, I'll give it a 5. But let's just stick to a 3. And our next video is going to be a review on The Terrifier 2. Give us a like, subscribe. We'll come out with a top 5 horror movies to watch, 2022 edition. Spooky season's around the corner. And if you could, give us a subscribe. Help us out a lot. And eventually, with our platform growing, we could do, more amazing things. So, Tony, you want to say anything to the crowd?
That's it for now. Just like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys.